In this video, we're going to talk about PCM drum kits. So let's take a look at what makes up a PCM drum kit. First off, let's go inside and we see it's going to be very similar to the PCM synth tones. Similar in the sense that it's made up of a wave, a time variant filter, and a time variant amplifier. Also, you notice that each one of these particular sections has its own envelope. So the wave has a pitch envelope, the time variant filter has a TVF envelope, and the time variant amplifier also has a TVA envelope. So a lot of different ways to mold your sound within that one partial. So once we go ahead and shape our sound of our partial, we can choose one of 6 compressor EQ settings for that particular partial. Now this is great when we're talking about drums because we can go ahead and have the toms go to maybe compression EQ1, which with its own setting. We can go ahead and have the bass and the snare go to its own EQ settings, compressor plus EQ2, and we can go ahead and have maybe the cymbals all routed to the same compressor and EQ settings, maybe number 3. Once that's all done, all of the partials, and there can be up to 88 partials when we talk about PCM drum kits, we can route all of those partials to the master effects. So let's take a look inside the Integra now and start editing our PCM drum kits. So once again, let's go ahead and go to part 10. And this is technically where we keep our drums, but you can put the drums wherever you want. And I'm going to hit the PCM button, so we make sure we choose a PCM sound. I'm going to tab up and choose a PCM drum kit. And I'll just choose that first drum kit. Let's go ahead and press enter. Now let's look inside and press the edit button. Now if we look inside of the edit button, you're going to notice some similarities from this and the PCM synth tone. So first off, that first tab is going to be common, and this is where we can choose when we press the preview button what type of phrase will play back. And here's where we can choose the overall kit volume, the level, and this goes up to 127 if we want. We can go ahead and give it a name if we want to for that particular partial. Assignment, we can have it a multi-assign or single. Now let's go ahead and go up to the wave. Now this is fun right here. Remember, we can have up to 88 partials for this particular drum kit. Now what this means is that as I press the key, we can choose a different partial. So let's go ahead and press C. And you see I'm choosing my kit. I'm playing a kick right here. Hit D. And you see I'm playing the snare. Notice that every time I played a different key, the wave group changes. And you can also see where I'm playing on the keyboard. So you know exactly what you're editing every time. So now let's go ahead and let's say I didn't like that snare. I'm pressing D2. I can go into my wave group, cursor down, I can press the enter button, and I can see all these different types of snare waveforms available to me. So right now, we're using the natural snare. Let's use a 70 snare. Let's try a rock. So you see, we can choose whatever type of waveform we want per key. Now let's say I want to go into this and I'm going to choose that snare, rock rim, and I'll go ahead and press the enter button. So now that waveform is in here. Let's cursor over and I'm going to turn on wave number 2 inside this particular partial, and I'm going to choose something else. So let's go ahead and press the enter button, go into the waveforms. So many different waveforms we can choose. And I'm just going to scroll down to my drums. And now we see I'm at my drums over here. Now let's choose a drum that really stands out. Let's go ahead and turn this guy on. Let's turn this one off just so we can hear. So you see, I'm going into here and I'm actually choosing what type of sound. I'm layering a sound within the rhythm section. I can have one type of snare on that particular key, and then I can add another wave to go on top of that if I wanted to. So let's go ahead and put a 909 snare in here. That's great. So let's press enter. So now let's listen to both waves simultaneously. And that quickly, we just layered two different waveforms on that one key. So if we look on the E2 key, nothing. D2 has those. And let's go ahead and just do one more, just so you guys understand. Now I'll go ahead and turn off these waveforms just so I can hear. And let's choose one more very quickly in here. And if you notice on the bottom of the screen, as I'm going through the waveforms, I can see what those partials are in here. So I can come in here and see. Or if I want to, press the enter button and I can have it pop open into a bigger window. Okay, let's see what this is. Great, we'll put a snare ghost right in there. Now let's turn them all on and listen to them simultaneously just by pressing the D2. So as you see, very quickly we were able to add waveforms and really fatten up that drum, that snare. Now let's go to the next tab right here, and this is the wave matrix table. And remember, this makes settings for velocity switching between tones. So this can be a lot of fun. Maybe we want to have one waveform come in when we're playing softly on the keyboard, another one come in when we're playing more loud on the keyboard, and one even louder. So we can adjust all these different levels right here. Right here. Now let's go to the next one and talk about the pitch. Now this will be the pitch for each individual key on the drum kit. So if we wanted to on here, I can adjust those. I'll select D2 since that's what we're working for. Now let's listen. So I can take those particular waveforms and adjust the pitch to whatever I want very quickly. Right in there. And we can even go in and fine tune it or random pitch. So we can make it kind of crazy. So let's go back up. Now we get into our pitch envelope right here. Now we go into our time variant filter. As you see, we can go ahead and put any type of filter on this particular snare drum. Now remember, each one of these keys is a partial, so each one of these keys gets its own filter and its own amplifier settings as well. So you can really have a good time and dig in deep. Now here we get our time variant filter envelope. All my people want to get really nerdy with this, you so can. It's so much fun. Now let's go into our time variant amplifier right here. And we can adjust the level. This is essentially our volume of that particular tone. And we can come in here and set these. Now we can go into our time variant envelope and we can adjust all of these. And once again, here is our output, and we can tell it what type of output and the level. And if we want to go ahead and send some of it to the reverb or to the chorus, we can do that. And now we get to the compression EQ. Now remember, there are 6 settings in here. There's 6 different settings. So maybe if you wanted to, say for example, put the drum on its own compressor setting. Say I'm working on the bass drum, I want to have it on its own compressor setting. Maybe I want to have the cymbals on their own and the toms on their own. We can do that. So here we go ahead. If we wanted to, we can set them for the different compressions in EQ. And this is how we do it. Just go right in there, put whatever you want. And here's the EQ settings. So this one was for compression, and this one was for EQ. Now, once we're done programming that sound, it has to go to a master effects. Currently, right now, we don't have any effects on that particular sound. All of these go through the same master effects, so go ahead and make sure you know which one you want to use. Typically, on a drum, you might not want to have any. EQ, if we were doing everything correctly, we have our own compressor and EQ settings, so we might not need to do that. If you want to, you could put some low boost and send everything through there, or you could just adjust that inside the filter settings as well. Now we get the master effects controls, so you can tell it where those controls are going to be and how it affects the sound. And that's basically how you edit the PCM drum kit inside the Integra. Now remember, all of these settings, if you want to save them, all you have to do is press the Shift, hold down Shift, and press right. And now we can save that PCM drum kit for use later on. So make sure if you make a sound that you really like, save it. Save it in there. And don't worry, if you go ahead and press Enter, there's all these different users. So you're not going to erase any of the presets. There's a bunch of different users in here. So you can take your custom created kit and save it to a user so you can use it on your other studio sets within the Integra. Now let's exit. And you see there's a little asterisk on part 10. That's letting us know, hey, we did some editing. If we want now, Shift, Edit, and we can save it to that particular studio set right in there. So very easy to do.